Hello, I'm Rob van Tulder, Professor in International Business at the Rotterdam School of Management. 20 years ago, I had the pleasure to found, together with two colleagues, the Department of Business Society Management. It is now one of the leading research and teaching platforms in the world, dealing with all dimensions of corporate responsibility and sustainability. Over the years, RSM has acknowledged that business is not about profit maximization, but about creating societal value. Profits are a means, not an end in itself. Don't get me wrong, without profits no corporation can exist. But without societal purpose, companies lack a license to operate, which in turn seriously hampers their longer-term financial sustainability. This bench carries a statement of Professor Jan Tinbergen, our most illustrious past faculty member and Nobel Prize laureate. A rough translation of this Dutch quote reads, "Equal distribution and fairness creates profits, not the other way around." For a long time, this was not a very fashionable statement. RSM nevertheless put it in front of the building. That was 10 years ago already. Recent, robust empirical research of the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank and the World Economic Forum reiterates this statement. Economic growth over longer periods of time cannot be established without inclusion, equality and fairness. But how to implement this insight in real-life practice at the level of corporations who are faced with a complex environment? Indeed, we are living in uncertain times. Fraud, crisis, trade conflicts, hunger, refugees, pollution. Read the news, the challenges are considerable. So what framework to adopt? A negative or a positive? Almost all SDGs address these problems. They are so-called common good problems. The creation of common goods presents problems without one owner. They are therefore also known as wicked problems. Their common good nature implies that there is always a public, a private, a profit and a non-profit side to each of the SDGs. Wicked problems have no simple one-size-fits-all solutions. Technical and organizational approaches are always necessary, but the real approach lies in defining the societal road to take. This road almost always requires positive involvement of companies, governments, knowledge institutes and communities. Well, don't deny complexity. Find positive approaches. Get all stakeholders in the room. Addressing wicked problems requires an open, inquisitive and entrepreneurial mindset, and positive and action-oriented strategic frames. Doom scenarios do not work. They have actually been found to lead to so-called apocalypse fatigue. And this is where the Sustainable Development Goals really have succeeded in shaping a framework, a new framework. In its creation, by organizing a 3-year process of multi-stakeholder involvement in which companies, civil society representatives, governments and knowledge institutes set up an agenda for longer-term action. In its elaboration, the SDGs signal a paradigm breach with the past in which only governments were held responsible for the world's most complex problems. And in its approach, the SDGs are based on a much better understanding of the fact that positive frames with clear goals are more energizing than negative frames. I am now at the Partnerships Resource Center. It is one of the flagship centers of the Rotterdam School of Management. The center builds bridges between academia and societal stakeholders. We aim at enhancing the effectiveness of sustainable business models, for which cross-sector partnerships are a vital means. It is not generally well known, but the United Nations also formulated 5 basic principles that feed into all SDGs. The 5 Ps. There are 4 general Ps: people, planet, prosperity and peace. These principles provide good benchmarks for measuring progress in all SDGs. But there is also one process-oriented principle, partnering. Partnering is a means, but perhaps also a goal in itself to enable implementation of corporate strategies at the more sophisticated levels of intervention. More sophisticated business strategies do not only aim at avoid doing harm, such as limit pollution, prevent human rights violations, but in particular at doing good, like solving poverty, creating access to health, creating access to education and finance. In short, actively addressing all SDGs. In a world full of wicked problems, nobody can effectively achieve good alone. Embracing the SDGs, as most of the corporate leaders in the world are inclined to do, is a matter of smart business and leadership. It actually provides tremendous growth opportunities. The SDGs are estimated to provide a $12 trillion growth market per year, as long as companies are able to organize this together with other stakeholders. It is actually a matter of smart organizing. Finally, especially for everyone that is interested in enhancing the role of companies in support of the SDGs, I've written a short book. It deals with some of the fundamental questions that I shortly addressed in this clip. I discussed the most important why, what, who, and how questions that companies face when they want to really embrace the SDGs. As is the case with all common goods, of course, you should be able to download it for free.